Need to get my ink pen, Julia.
Take your time.
I gotta put one in my bag. I must get. You got that, Jim? A pencil, doesn't matter. Thank you.
Good evening. The time is 6:03 and the date is July 18th, 2023. And we're going to call our meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Warren City Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in agenda items 11A and 11B. Will you please all rise and salute the flag? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Cortino, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Flanagan?
Here.
Mr. Fowley?
Here.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Here.
Mrs. Patterson?
Here.
And Mr. Walker?
Present. Item number 3, executive session. We don't have a need for executive session at this point, so we're going to move on to number 4, communications.
Thank you. I have 4 communications this evening. First, along with the budget bill, I would like to formally inform the board that the retention clause of the 3rd grade reading guarantee has been modified. I would like to say it's gone away, but the new verbiage states that a student shall not be retained solely based upon their score on the 3rd grade reading test unless the parent initiates the retention with the principal, the school, and then the decision for retention, similar to our policy, which again we can retain at any time in the educational process, but the decision would be a decision between the parent, the principal, the reading specialist at the building, the child's teacher. So it's consistent with our policy as it was in all other grade levels. So at this time, we may have had some students that were looking at retention, but it will not be triggered by the 3rd grade reading guarantee. So it's not a blanket of who moves on and who hasn't. And as that's been done in the past, I've been very vocal about my position on legislation determining the child's placement as compared to looking at the whole child or all the components of the child. So that's where we are with 3rd grade reading guarantee and the retention clause. Again, we are required, just as we were in the past, to do intensive intervention for those students who are not successful, but that's something that we did before and we will continue to do, regardless of legislation.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. And secondly, I received communication last week that we applied for and did receive the Ohio Department of Education Stronger Connections grant in the amount of $170,000 in change. This is work that we've received in the past, I believe, but this also goes and is going to cover the cost of social worker as well as professional development. We have what's called CHAMPS training. We did that in June. We also have another session coming up here at the beginning of August for teachers to work with additional strategies in classroom management and student behavior. So the Stronger Connections grant, $170,000. So bring in more money in to support the work that we're doing.
Is that one social worker or it's just,
One in the grant and then one will be federal funded.
okay, district-wide, or will it be assigned to a building?
One will focus on graduating class of 2024,
Okay,
and one will focus on middle school average students.
thank you.
Third, I just want to show you, for those of you that have been walking this path with me for the last 9 years as superintendent, you know when the data comes out, I like to color code it and organize it. So without getting into specifics, I'm going to show you this.
It's a lot of green.
A lot of green, guys.
Green is good.
A lot of green. I've never seen this much green on our data. And again, just a reminder, we received word in June that we do not have any federal designation status in any of our buildings for the next 3 years. And again, I would say that. And I'm going to go and just reference English language arts across grades 3 all the way through English 2 at the high school, that 50% of these areas meet or exceed pre-pandemic scores. So we are moving our students academically in the right direction. And, you hear about a number of districts that are struggling with the pandemic. Media asks questions about it. I told Mrs. Lamperos, one of my friends in the media was asking me, to comment on this, and I'll probably try to get a hold of them tomorrow. But we are, in some areas, really on track. A struggling area in the district and across the state is eighth graders, ninth graders. It seems like the area of student strength from that pandemic time was the elementary learners, latter elementary, third, fourth, fifth graders, that they've kind of had a stronger area of support. And then the high school students, just like our graduating class, we had 24 honor students. They came together as learners and pushed through. Just like I said, my son did, and other children that we know at that age level. So kids at the top of the age bracket moved on through. Children of the younger age bracket pushed through, caught up. And kids that were in that like maybe 5th, 6th, 7th grade during the pandemic, that seems to be a struggle that we're seeing going through, not just locally, but in the state. And we can see it in our data. So very good data coming through. So, I said green, we need to keep moving that. I know Mrs. Hartzell is going to talk during the superintendent's report about credit recovery and data. The word recovery is something you're going to hear in addition to intervention from me moving forward, because we're in a position that some students need intervention to get back on track, and some students need to recover where they were. And those are two different things, and there's a depth kind of with those two. And so we're going to start talking about that more in our work. And the last thing I wanted to put as a communication to the board is, if there's not any objection, our next board meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, August 8th. When we talk about recovery of students, we are fortunate to have 7, possibly 8 students that would qualify for summer graduation. And in talking with Principal Dr. Ulisny, and meeting with her and talking with our team, I'd like to propose that we have a summer graduation before the board meeting at 5:15 p.m. on Tuesday, August 8th at Warren G. Harding High School in the cafetorium, just like we've done in the past.
Yes.
So we ask the students to be present by 5 o'clock. The high school will take that out, all that taken care of. We will have a graduation ceremony at 5:15. And when we're done with the graduation ceremony, do cake and the stuff we traditionally do with that group, and show how proud we are of the work they've done. And then meeting starts at 6 or thereafter, we'll do that.
Excellent.
So if there's no objection, then Karen and I will work on communicating that out. And again, that location will be at the high school. I know we had the meeting at the high school, moved it to the board. It will be at the high school because I really don't want to have the kids parade through here and graduate. I'd rather do it at this stage in their high school. Well, we could try. We could try. That concludes my communications for this evening.
Excellent. Any questions or comments from anyone? Thank you for that, Mr. Superintendent. I'm going to move for an adoption of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Cortino, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes.
Mr. Fowley?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes, and the motion carries. Agenda item number 6, Treasurer's Report.
I don't really have too much for you tonight. I plan to have hopefully more information on the new budget bill and how it's going to impact the district in our August meeting. Right now, just working through all the changes and the updates in our forecast software and looking for some simulations, solid simulations to come out of the Ohio Department of Ed. So, early look at it shows us getting an increase. So, just not sure on all ends of the formula if there's any areas that may offset that. So,
Okay, understood.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Item number 7, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to yield the floor to our Chief Academic Officer, Wendy Hartzell.
Thank you. So last year, we started when we addressed the board, when we got our data with our local report card as the story behind the stars. So I'd like to continue kind of down that path and just share a little bit about what Superintendent Shiro had started to say about some students need intervention, which we will continue to do, but some students really need to recover, that they really need to take the time and have that very concerted effort on how to recover and get back to where they need to be in doing so. So part of that is recovering credits for graduation, and that is a huge thing. So over the last 2 years, we've had fewer students enrolled in credit recovery, but they've recouped and focused and recouped more credits than 17, 18, 18, 19, and 19, 20 combined.
Oh,
So over the last 2 years, they've really worked diligently to recover credits so that when they graduate and they can go, into their adult lives, as well as being able to, it helps us maintain our graduation rate.
Great.
excellent.
And if I could just interject one thing. Using the same program, I've been around the block here in education 26 years, and all of a sudden you see your data shift and change, and no one says, oh, well, we were on this program and we switched to that program. This is the same program. There's been no change into the expectations or the standards of credit, so there's no sleight of hand or anything. This is the same program on the same data,
Yes.
with the same folks running the program and same monitoring, and we've all been the same as well with it.
Wow, interesting. Okay.
So this summer, not only did we do some intervention and some just closing gaps with skills, but part of our summer program at the high school was also an industry recognized credential academy. And the IRCs is what we kind of know them as. That's one piece of how students can demonstrate competency to earn their graduation credits. So there's 3 parts of earning in order to graduate. One, they have to earn 21 credits. That's everybody has to do that. A second part is they have to show competency. So there's a variety of ways in which our students can show competency. They can get a proficient or higher score on their end of course exam in Algebra 1 and ELA 2. If they do that, they're competent. They can take a College Credit Plus math course that's remediation free and pass that with a C or higher. They can earn industry recognized credentials, which I'll go into a little bit, and they can show that they have enlisted in the military. So those are the ways in which they can show competency. And then the last thing that they have to do for graduation is demonstrate readiness, which is the graduation seals. And part of the seals is they have to have 1 state seal and they have to have 1 local seal. And we provide opportunities for the students to earn that within their high school time. So I want to focus on the industry recognized credentials because during the summer, there were 36 students that were specifically brought in over a 3-week period of time that earned all 12 points for their industry recognized credentials. And there were 9 other students that earned 6 points, which was half of what they need for those credentials. And that was just in a 3-week period of time. We do, over the course of the year in high school, work with students to prepare to take certain tests in order to earn those industry recognized credentials. I'm going to read a couple of the pathways we've talked about before of what we offer to allow students to become workforce ready. That's where the students are earning their industry recognized credentials. Construction, hospitality and tourism, business marketing and finance, information technology, collaboration with YSU, and I'll go into that a little bit further in a moment. Some foundational skills, CPR. So right now, those are the areas where students have been working to study and to test in order to show competency in their IRCs. So in construction, between levels 1 through 3, there have been 106 earning certificates. Level 4 is earning a pre-apprenticeship, in which we've had students as well. In hospitality and tourism, 97 students have earned industry recognized credentials in retail fundamentals, and 90 students in customer service and sales. There's 11 students that earn them in business marketing and finance. 3 students with information technology. They are Microsoft certified in certain areas. In collaboration with YSU, we actually had 2 students that were able to spend time at YSU working in robotics, additive manufacturing, and IT. In foundation skills, all of our freshmen through the freshman advisory take something called Student Leadership Excellent. They earn industry recognized credentials just by taking the advisory class and this portion of it, and then being able to test to demonstrate their leadership. CPR has been that we have to train students in CPR, but if we train them during our health and PE classes and they get certified because they passed the test, 161 earned 1 industry recognized credential, and now they are also CPR certified. And so you can see that, 1, we're focusing on these areas because they provide very viable workplace next steps. The pre-apprentice is where we want to continue to grow. With the Recreation and Wellness Center, with the student-run bistro, it's going to be yet another opportunity for students to not only earn their industry recognized credentials, but also take their test and be ServSafe certified, which is huge. And so this not only provides opportunities for students, again, to show competency in another way other than just the traditional academic, but they have to show that they're earning these credentials and can kind of go into that next step. Where this comes into play is looking at Monroe. You know, we've used Monroe in the past for a variety of reasons. And so our plan for Monroe for this coming school year is really to focus hard on that recovery piece. So the first part of Monroe, we're looking at an AM and a PM session, looking to have up to about 30 students per session. So not only will they take their courses that are required at Harding for the other part of the day, but then when they're at Monroe, it's going to be a very focused, very supported credit recovery time so that they can work through and gain those recovery points that they need towards graduation with their courses. The other thing that we will do is we'll have some teachers over there that will be supporting in content areas so that if a student's struggling, they'll be able to have some tutoring and some very intensive and focused instructional pieces so that then they can go ahead and work on the program in those areas. One of the things that I think Mr. Shiro had alluded to is that we've had the same person that's been overseeing credit recovery, even though the administrators at Harding monitor, even though that we've had a lot of different hands of just kind of keeping track, we have had a very consistent person that's been part of learning the system, enrolling students. When a student takes a quiz or an assessment and they don't get a certain percentage to show competency on that particular one, it can be unlocked after some tutoring, then the students can try to retake. And so this person does that all the time. They answer questions, they try to find the support, and I believe that this person is a strong candidate for why a lot of these kiddos have been successful. She's been a great support. So I would like for that to continue as an academic liaison for the program because students respond. And I think that's first and foremost. We talk about social emotional learning and those relationships. Those relationships are critical and they're very strong and students respond, and when students are responding, they will work really, really hard. The other thing that we would like to see with Monroe, we have an administrator, Danny Burns, and she's going to be housed there. And over this past year, she has become the gifted coordinator for our district, so she's certified to do that. And so not only will she support the academic recovery, but she's been tasked with creating gifted programming beyond what we currently offer students identified for gifted services. And so this coming year, she will be working very diligently on on building some programs where we can have students attend Monroe for some additional and thinking beyond what they typically get during the day, so that we can continue to grow our gifted students that are identified as well.
So
what we're thinking time-wise, just to lay it out there, is like the first cohort at Harding might go to Monroe from, let's say, 7:30 to 11. And the second cohort might go there from 11:15 to 2:15. And then we would be able to bring students over to the part of the building that isn't being used, also on the top floor, 3 or 4 classrooms from some of our elementary buildings. This is our plan. It's not in action yet, to maybe bring students over for an hour and a half, till like maybe 2:30 to 4. And then, get them home maybe one day a week, or maybe do a couple weeks and switch to another building. So we'd have to create a schedule and provide some additional gifted services for our students that we've not been enhancing. Bring in Mrs. Burns on, and meeting with Regina, it unlocked a bed of funding that we weren't able to access about a year or so ago. She went and got the credentialing for her license to do that, and so it's a significant amount of funding in excess of what her salary is, and that enables us to provide stronger gifted services for students moving forward within the state budget. So it's almost like our vision. Now, we can't say this is what it's going to look like, but this is our vision, to bring in a focus on the cohort of May 2024 graduates is our focus, for up to 30 children in the morning and up to 30 students in the afternoon. We already have the 3 teachers identified. We would already have an administrative support afloat, Mrs. Burns, and bringing in the academic liaison to kind of be the gatekeeper of the program, and keeping students on track with that. Again, if we go to graduating class 2025 as well, that's great. Harding's already identified the students. They're already set. So that's our plan as far as what we're looking to do with credit recovery. And do you want to just give some of the data as far as the number of credits actually recovered, or number of credits towards graduation? I know you had that information prepared. Sorry to put you on the spot, because the numbers are really amazing to hear.
Sure is.
And again, I hate to say pre-pandemic, this was our number. Here's our number this year or last year, as far as students, credits, and senior credits towards graduation.
So in 21-22, there were 190 students enrolled, 242 and a half credits were recovered, and 165 of them were from seniors. So that definitely impacted graduation. This past school year, there were 166 students enrolled, 302 credits were recovered through this program, and 138.75 credits towards graduation. So we are definitely seeing students that need this, they're responding, and it's putting them on a better path, and certainly giving them the information that they need to be successful.
And if I can dig in even further, something that we're seeing, our traditional summer school that we've all known to grow and love, and our kids have done to go maybe to not take for PE or for, do these different things.
We're
It's
not,
done.
we're not getting the enrollment. Students aren't putting in the time in doing that, and now we're seeing much more
Enrollment is
success.
significantly down. We just have to move.
We have
If
to
this
shift.
was May 2024, I would be sitting here saying, we're not doing traditional summer school. It's a little too early to say what we are and aren't gonna do, but right now, traditional summer school isn't doing it. We have more and more situations where a parent will come in and pay for and enroll their child. And then on day 2, hey, your child's not here today. Yeah, they're not coming, it's just not for them. Well, you paid for this. Yeah, they're just not. It's just not, it's not effective like it was 10 years ago. And again, Dr. Ulysses nodding her head. I say it like it is. It's, you have a smaller cohort of students that are participating in the traditional summer school.
I know my kids did it to
Abs-
free up their schedule.
Right.
Yeah, ahead of time.
And that's probably what's the most, I don't know, I've just seen recently students with the phys ed and how.
Yeah.
That's what they would.
And I'm not saying we're not gonna have it, but I'm gonna say it is definitely, if I have the control and say, it's definitely gonna look different and be more to meeting our students where they are versus what we know and have been comfortable with over the years.
Plus, this is happening during the school day, right?
The credit recovery?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. Yes, which I think
And
is
it's a
against the
gifted
plus.
enrichment as well, right?
Yes, that becomes the potential on where we're gonna try to double back into some of the stuff. And again, when the recreation wellness center is, that could also be an asset area for which those activities can take place.
I just think of like when we had Arts Excel, this is going way back.
Oh, I remember Arts Excel and Arts
Yes,
Explore.
Yes, and the
Yes.
students would leave and go to Lordstown,
Yeah.
have their enrichment, and come back.
Correct.
We're trying to provide for our students within the district.
And it's going to take a couple years for us to find our niche on where that fits best. But this is our thoughts now. It could change and shift, and we'll let you know.
Is there, is there a change nationally or regionally in the summer school demographic, or is it just, like, any idea?
We're the only one in Trumbull County that offers a summer program the way we have been.
Okay.
So is the enrollment down from other schools, like other students that?
Wanting to come?
Yes.
Yes. And we used to get a handful of students consistently from certain schools, and I don't think we had any this year.
And I guess my other question is with the recovery program, which is awesome. Any idea why the change in the accomplishments of our students?
Professionally, I think part of it was the urgency for graduation.
Okay.
You know, the pandemic really took a toll on our kids.
Yeah.
And I think it became the urgency of, wow, graduation's here. I think the other thing is that I believe our students felt the tug of a lot of adults rallying around them. You know, from the mental health supports to the you can do this, don't give up. You know, it just that belief system, that intrinsic motivation for them as far as a belief in themselves.
Okay.
And I think that they saw adults caring so much that they felt it was possible.
Okay, cool.
And I agree with both of those, and I would also say this is the world the kids live in.
Yes.
And if anyone has one,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
I don't mean a phone. Anyone has a kid, this is the world they live in. This is their learning model.
So what grade does credit recovery begin?
We started as early as 10th. Usually ninth graders, just that transition to ninth grade, and that's their first in of high school. It's kind of a learning experience. They have to get acclimated a little bit because it's brand new, way different than middle school.
Yes.
So credit recovery, we dabble in it a little bit in 10th grade. We start with seniors first because we want to make sure that we're on top of that, and then go into juniors. And we'll see where it is, you know, as we're looking to see how many credits by cohort are deficient. You know, we're starting to see students taking it seriously earlier. And so hopefully we can see those numbers come down as we continue to do this, just because there won't be a need for it. But for the students that we're seeing that do need it, they're being more successful and being more successful sooner.
Excellent.
And when I was working with administrators at the high school last spring, more time was spent over there, and we were talking about this model for months. You know, if we have a student that is credit deficient in one area, they're not going to Monroe. They're going to do it as part of their day at Harding. They may do it in after-school programs. They'll have access to support. But a student who's one class of credit that needs recovered, they're not going to go to Monroe. They have enough support that they can be successful at the building. We're talking students that have multiple credit deficiencies that we need to do a very strong intervention and recovery model with them.
Excellent.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
Wendy, you said that Danny would be providing gifted services at Monroe also?
Well, she's been charged with creating an after-school enrichment for identified gifted students. So that's still in the works. She's got a lot of ideas and contacts out there. And so it's a matter of identifying, you know, the what and the how, and then just making sure that, you know, we plan for that accordingly.
Well, she's so competent. Will she also be trying to address the needs of our talented students? Dance, art, music, so forth.
That I can't speak to right now because I have not had the conversations regarding the very specifics she's looking at, but I do know that she's looking at all areas that have been identified gifted.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you for that.
That's great.
And we have to have a starting point.
Love it.
Ready to launch.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hartzell.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
That concludes the superintendent's report for this evening.
Thank you for that. Board of Education Committee reports, athletics.
The only thing I have is our athletic council meeting will be this Thursday, 5:15 in Dr. Ulisky's office. Look forward to seeing you.
And we are planning on going through the agenda at 5:15 to 5:30. And at 5:30, we are planning on walking through as an athletic council of the new facility.
Sounds good. Awesome. Merci beaucoup. Finance Advisory? No report? Board Policies and Guidelines?
No report, you have anything?
Our first reading is on for tonight.
Yes.
Legislative Liaison?
Well, the budget bill is sort of the carrot, the stick in the carrot philosophy. The public schools are being assuaged by the implementation of the fair funding plan at 2022 levels, which is wonderful. It's something that they have discussed doing for 6 years and have finally accomplished that. But they have also linked that to a tremendous expansion of the right to a voucher to almost every citizen in Ohio. The estimate of 856 million potential cost, I believe, is exaggerated, but all reasonable estimates show this to occur in the excess of $600 million, and no funding source has been addressed in the budget bill. So the clown car is parked in Columbus. That's the kindest thing I can say.
Oh, my. I don't know quite how to follow that up. But, one of the major things I think that affects us is the shift in control of the State Board of Education. So that is going to directly affect like this table right here. So, we, again, wait to see what that's going to look like and what the impacts will be. I'm sure OSBA Capital Conference in November is going to be very interesting as we move, forward. So, yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you for that. TCTC Board Representative report?
I have no report. There was no meeting scheduled for the month of July. We start back up on our meetings in August.
Thank you for that. There was no old business listed under agenda item number 9. I don't have anything for new business under agenda item number 10, and there's no one signed up for public participation.
Correct.
On an agenda item. So we're going to move to page number 3. Item number 1, Mr. Fowley.
Treasurer's recommendations. Minutes. It is recommended the resolution listed below regarding the June 2023 board minutes be approved as submitted.
Second?
Is there any question or discussion on the item? If not, Ms. Ortino?
Mr. Fowley?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson?
Yes.
And Mr. Walker?
Yes, and the motion carries. Page number 5, page number 4, I was looking at the same. Item number 2, Ms. Lamperos.
Monthly financial statement. It is recommended the resolution listed below regarding the June 2023 financial statement and short-term investments made by the treasurer during June 2023, Exhibit A, pages 38 to 39, be approved as submitted.
Second.
Are there any questions or discussion on the motion? If not, Ms. Ortino?
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mr. Fowley?
Yes.
And Mr. Walker?
Yes, and the motion carries. Page number 6, item number 3, Ms. Patterson.
The appropriation budgets. It is recommended the resolution listed below to approve appropriation budgets A and B be approved as submitted.
Second.
Are there any questions or discussion on the item? If not, Ms. Cortina?
Yes. Mrs. Patterson?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mr. Fowley?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes.
And Mr. Walker?
Yes, and the motion carries. Page 8, item number 1, Mr. Flanagan.
Superintendent's recommendations, agreements, contracts, and/or leases. It is recommended the resolution listed below entering into agreements, contracts, and/or leases
A through C be approved as submitted.
Second.
Are there any questions or discussion on the motion? If not, Ms. Cortino, please call roll.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson?
Yes.
Mr. Fowley?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes.
And Mr. Walker?
Yes, and the motion carries. Item 10, number 2, I believe that has to be read in the entirety, doesn't it?
No.
No, it does not? Okay.
No.
Mr. Fowley?
Board policies, first reading. It is recommended the resolution listed below regarding the adoption of board policies, first reading, A through W, be approved as submitted.
Second.
Any questions or discussion on the motion? And these are just typical updates to the policies that are required.
Yes.
If not, Ms. Cortino, please call the roll.
Mr. Fowley?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson?
Yes.
And Mr. Walker?
Yes, and the motion carries. Page 12, item number 3, Ms. Lamperos.
Declaring transportation impractical, it is recommended the resolution listed below be approved as submitted.
Second.
Any questions or discussion on the item? If not, Ms. Cortino?
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes.
Mr. Fowley?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson?
Yes.
And Mr. Walker?
Yes, and the motion carries. Page 14, item number 4, Ms. Patterson.
Revised salary table L, classified non-supervisory and grant-funded schedule. It is recommended the resolution listed below adopting changes to salary table L, classified non-supervisory and grant-funded schedule be approved as submitted with changes as recommended.
Second.
Any questions or discussion on the item? If not, Ms. Cortino?
Mrs. Patterson?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mr. Fowley?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes, and the motion carries. Page 16, beginning of page 16, item number 6.
Page 15.
15.
Page 15.
Let's make sure. I'm sorry, I skipped that one. Page 15, item number 5. Mr. Flanagan.
Tuition reimbursement. It is recommended the resolution listed below for tuition reimbursement be approved as submitted.
Second.
Are there any questions or discussion over the item? If not, Ms. Cortino?
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes.
Mr. Fowley?
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson?
Yes.
And Mr. Walker?
Yes, and the motion carries. Beginning on page 16, item number 6. Mr. Fowley?
Personnel recommendations. It is recommended the resolution listed below regarding personnel items A through N be approved as submitted.
Second.
There is a retirement on page 23. 2 retirements. Actually, it goes on to 24.
Well, congratulations to those who are retiring. Miss Mary Lou,
I'm organist.
a Morganist.
You're welcome.
Miss Mary Lou, a Morganist, congratulations. We hope that you enjoy your retirement. And Miss Madeline Tomlin, congratulations to you as well in your retirement. If there aren't any other questions or discussion, go ahead, Ms. Sortino, if you can please call the roll.
Mr. Fowley?
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Abstain.
And Mr. Walker?
Yes, and the motion carries. All righty. And thank you. I'm just flipping away here.
That's 36.
4 recommendations.
36.
Yeah. All right. Page 36, item number 1. And I believe we are on Ms. Lamperos.
Board recommendations, membership to and participation with the Ohio Mid-Sized Schools Leadership Collaboration. It is recommended the resolution listed below approving membership to the Ohio Mid-Sized Schools Leadership Collaboration be approved as submitted.
Second.
Any questions or discussion on the item? No? If not, Ms. Sortino, please call the roll.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes.
Mr. Fowley?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes, and the motion carries. I don't believe there's anyone signed up for public participation under 11B. If not, we are going to recess for executive session, and we'll adjourn from there. So to all those out, well, excuse me, can I get a motion? We're going to recess under reason number F, matters required to be kept confidential by state or federal law, and this is under the provisions of Ohio Revised Code 121.22. The Warren City School Board of Education is going to recess to executive session at 6:43 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
If there's not any question or discussion, Ms. Scortino, please call the roll.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes.
Mr. Fowley?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson?
Yes.
And Mr. Walker?
Yes, and the motion carries. Thank you all to everybody who joined us for both. Yes, because there will be no further action. We thank you all those who decided to join us today, virtually and in person. You have a good evening.